네 눈앞에 왔잖아 내가 여기 있잖아 너의
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Fatin Yasmin and you guys can simply call me as Yasmin. I am from AS1204E and today I'll be explaining regarding HIV and AIDS. So what is HIV? HIV is actually a virus which is defined as human immunodeficiency virus that targeting cells in our immune system and it will attack them until it's damaged. This situation is called as immunodeficiency, meaning the failure of our immune system. This condition will lead to the increase of rate of the patients getting serious disease such as tumors or any other disease. There is actually two types of HIV, which is HIV-1 and HIV-2. HIV-1 is commonly associated with AIDS and is infected worldwide, meanwhile for HIV-2, they are very rare and restricted in areas of Western Africa and Southern Asia. HIV-2 are very uncommon until HIV almost always refers to HIV-1 only. HIV-1 is retroviral, meaning that they can write their own genetic code into the genome of the infected cells and co-opting them into making more copies of themselves. So HIV mostly targets cells that have specific molecule called as CD4 on membrane. For example, is dendritic cells, T helper cells, macrophage. All of these cells can be easily targeted by this virus since all of them have CD4 inside. CD4 will help immune cells to communicate and very important. When foreign invaders get into our body, it will cause an infection and it will activate our body defenses such as white blood cells and mainly T helper cells to strengthen our immune system. So what will happen to our body after invaders invade is T helpers will release a chemical that attract other white blood cells to the site of infection. So these new white blood cells will attack the invaders and other infected cells as well. And these T helper cells also release another chemical that would cause other white blood cells to produce a markers that called as antibodies. So this antibody can identify if the same invader gets into our body and it will attach to the invaders and targeting it for our immune system to destroy them. Okay, so how does HIV infect human body? HIV is spread through blood and other body fluid and will kill white blood cells. Since T helper are their primary target, the virus will attack these T helper cells and enter the cells. Once the virus successfully get inside, they will make many copies of themselves and leave the damaged T helper, and they will proceed to damage any other cells afterwards. So these T cells would lose their ability to protect our body from infections and die. HIV virus will continuously spread and kills other T cells and weakening our immune system. So as the result, the count of T helper will drop and cause the patient to be in a serious danger of contracting deadly infections that usually healthy normal system can handle. And this condition will lead to the damage of immune system, which is the final stage of HIV infection. What will happen is that any other type of infection can infect our body easily, and this condition is actually called as opportunity infection. So when HIV and opportunity infection occurs in one's body, that person will get AIDS. Some common AIDS-related opportunity infections are including inflammation of brain, respiratory illness, and also cancers. So AIDS is actually defined as acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So far, there is no cure found for HIV, but there is some drugs called antiretroviral medication that can reduce the amount of HIV in one's body. So there is this one class of antiretroviral medication known as entry or fusion inhibitors that disrupts the HIV infections process by preventing the virus from attaching our cells. There is also one class for antiretroviral medication which are reverse transcriptase inhibitors, protease inhibitors, and also integrase inhibitors that functions to prevent the creation, assembly, and the spread of the virus. But keep in mind that antiretroviral medication did not remove the virus completely. So if the numbers of T helper cells are enough in our body after getting antiretroviral medication, that means the medication is working for us. But Even if the medication is working, the HIV patient still have to consume all the medication for the rest of their life. As for the opportunity infection cure, it's only by taking medication for each type of infections. I know you guys must be questioning why is it so hard to find a cure for this disease, for this HIV disease. This is because HIV will hide out somewhere that our medication cannot reach yet, which is inside of the healthy T helper cell DNA. So most of the T cells die after being infected with HIV, but there's a tiny percentage that the instruction for building more HIV virus lies dormant. So even though we could erase every HIV virus from an infected person, one of the T helper cells could activate and spread the virus again. So that's why it's very hard. How can HIV spread? HIV can only be spreading and infect people by sharing or exchanging body fluids. So maybe it could be transferred through unprotected sex, drugs, injection needles, breastfeeding, contaminated blood and blood product, and also it could be infected by childbirth. So in order to avoid HIV, we must know our HIV status and also our partner status. Avoid vaginal and anal sex, limit sex to only one infected partners, use protection like condoms, and avoid ourselves from injectable illegal drugs or sharing needles. Lastly, I just want to say that please stop spreading bad stigma towards people with HIV. It can negatively affect the health and the well-being of the patients. So please educate ourselves more regarding this disease because knowledge is very empowering. And do support them, protect them from this challenging violence. I think that's all from me. I hope we all can be more understanding and treat everyone nicely. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.